Not too long ago, the internet was stationary. Most often, we'd browse the web from a desktop computer in our living room or office. If we were feeling really adventurous, maybe we'd cart our laptop to a coffee shop. Looking back, those days seem quaint. Today, the internet moves through our lives with us.
We hunt Pokemon as we shuffle down the sidewalk. We text at red lights. We tweet from the bathroom. We sleep with a smartphone within an arm's reach, using the device as an alarm clock. Sometimes we put our phones down while we eat, but usually face up, just in case something important happens. Our iPhones, Androids, and other smartphones have let us effortlessly adjust our behavior. Portable technology has overhauled our driving habits, our dating styles, and even our posture. Despite the occasional headlines claiming that digital technology is rotting our brains, not to mention what it's doing to our children, we've welcomed this alluring life partner with open arms and swiping thumbs. Laboratory studies hint that technology and its constant interruptions may change our thinking strategies. Our husbands and wives, our devices have become memory partners, allowing us to dump information there and forget about it, an offloading that comes with benefits and drawbacks. Constant interactions with technology may even raise anxiety in certain settings. Yet, one large study suggests that moderate use of technology has no ill effects on mental well being. Neurobiologist Leah Krubitzer doesn't put a positive or negative value on today's digital landscape, neither good nor bad. It is what it is. I can tell you for sure that technology is changing our brains, she says. It's just that so far no one knows what those changes mean. Of course, nearly everything changes the brain. Musical training reshapes parts of the brain. Learning streets and directions swells a map making structure in the brain. Even getting a good night's sleep changes the brain. Every aspect of our environment can influence brain and behaviors. We are information seeking creatures, says neuroscientist Adam Gazzley. We are driven to it in very powerful ways. A team in the United Kingdom designed an Android app to track cell phone use in students and staff at the University of Lincoln for 15 days. The app registered when the phone screen turned on and then off, resulting in charts like this one. Wider bars mean longer time on phone. Alarm clock wake ups on weekdays are obvious. Saturdays are marked by red dashed line. One way in which today's digital technology is distinct from earlier advances is the sheer amount of time people spend with it.
In one small study reported in 2015, 23 adults ages 18 to 33 spent an average of 5 hours a day on their phones, broken up into 85 distinct daily sessions. When asked how many times they thought they used their phones, participants underestimated by half.
Smartphones are literally omnipresent 24/7. We are compelled to look at this new alluring rectangular limb instead of what surrounds us. Printers, electricity, television, and telephones all shifted humans' habit drastically. The furor over digital technology, melting brains, and crippling social lives is just the latest incarnation of age-old fear of change. The scope of the amount of information we have at our fingertips is beyond anything we have ever experienced. The temptation to become really reliant on it seems to be greater.
60 college undergraduates were given a mix of trivia questions, some easy, some hard. Half of the students had to answer the questions on their own. The other half were told to use the internet. Later, the students were given an easier set of questions. This time, the students were told they could use the internet if they wanted. People who had used the internet initially were more likely to rely on internet's help for the easy set of questions. People who had gotten used to using the internet continued to do so, even though they knew the answer. This kind of over-reliance may signal a change in how people use their memory.
The internet has taken the place formerly filled by spouses who remembered birthdays, grandparents who remember recipes, and co-workers who remember the correct paperwork codes, officially known as transitive memory partners. Betsy Sparrow says the experience of losing our internet connection becomes more and more like losing a friend. We must remain plugged in to know what Google knows.
Our research has documented effects of interruptions and multitasking, which are hard to avoid with incessant news alerts, status updates, and Instagrams waiting in our pockets. Siphoning attention can cause trouble for a long list of thinking skills, including short and long-term memory, attention, perception, and reaction time. Consequences of technology are starting to show up for another cognitive task like navigating, particularly while driving. Instead of checking a map and planning a route before a trip, people now can rely on their smartphones to do the work for them. Our neurological skills may be at risk as we shift to easier ways to find a solution, says cognitive neuroscientist Bobbert.
People who use spacious strategies that require a mental map have larger, busier hippocampi, whereas people who use carrier type of response navigation have a larger caudate nucleus. A small study by Poppert showed that people who navigate by relying on addiction related caudate nucleus smoke more cigarettes, drink more alcohol, and are more likely to use marijuana than people who rely on hippocampus.
In diabolical experiments, Cal State's Rosen takes college students' phones away, under the ruse that the devices are interfering with laboratory measurements of stress, such as heart rate and sweating. The phones are left on but placed out of reach of students who are reading a passage. Then, the researcher starts texting the students who are forced to listen to the dings without being able to see the messages or respond. Measurements of anxiety spike, Rosen has found, and reading comprehension dwindles. Other experiments have found that heavy technology users last about 10 minutes without their phones before showing signs of anxiety. Our research hints that moderate use of digital technology correlates with good mental health. For smartphone use, the shift from benign to potentially harmful came after about 2 hours of use on weekdays, mathematical analysis revealed. Weekday recreational computer use had a longer limit, that is, 4 hours and 17 minutes, the researchers wrote.
Each type of media have a sweet spot, suggesting that moderate digital technology use may have benefit. For even the heaviest users, the relationship between technology use and poorer mental health wasn't all that strong. If a relationship is found between technology use and poorer mental health, scientists still wouldn't know why. Perhaps the effect comes from displacing something, such as exercise or socializing, and not the technology itself.
The human neocortex basically recreates itself over successive generations, Krubitsa says. People raised in a digital environment are going to have brains that reflect that environment. We went from using stones to crack nuts to texting on a daily basis, she says. Clearly, the brain has changed. It's possible that those changes are a good thing, perhaps better preparing children to succeed in a fast paced digital world. Or maybe we will come to discover that when we no longer make the effort to memorize our best friend's phone number, something important is quite slipping away.